Hello and welcome back to my channel. I have not done a lot of videos lately. I've been busy with the start of school and many other things, but I created this little folio pocket and I thought it would be a fun thing to share. I started off by making these smaller ones, and these are now for sale in my Etsy shop. The way that they work is that this opens up and you get a really simple folio. I usually include a little card in there, and I love this little element here, and I will explain all of why the whys here. And this is a nice quick thing that you can do and do a lot of them in a row. Do a nice mask make. In this one, for example, I chose to use washi tape to put in the flap, and then when you open it up, there's another card underneath. So this project lends itself well to lots of different variations and you being able to put your own stamp on it. I am looking for, I changed a little bit of what I did following, I think maybe, oh, there we go. With the rounded edges here, this is a tuck on this side, and this is a pocket here and a pocket here. And so I will talk a little bit about how I did all of it and give you all of the specs so you can make your own. Once I finished making these, I decided, wouldn't it be wonderful to try it with a little bit larger piece of paper? These end up being 4x4. And so I ended up designing a 6x6 one as well. And these were all of my experiments on the way there. And you can see that one of the things I did in these is I cleaned my office and uncovered these wonderful brads. And so I changed the way that I do the closure to include this little pull. And then it's very similar on the inside. This was one of the prototypes, so the pockets aren't as large as I'd like them. And let's see, I think this might be what I finally ended up with. Let's see, this is, yeah, I think, no, this is closer to 5x5, so maybe 6x6-ish here. So this is nope, this is the one with the short pockets. Okay. And then I have this one with the longer pockets. And this is where I ended up. And so I will give you all of the specifications for where you need to cut and where you need to score. So these larger ones start out with a piece of paper that is 8x12. And the smaller ones start out with a piece of paper that is 6x8. So that's what we're going to do. So I have a number of these already scored for the 6x8 one, and it's the right size for this the screen area that I have. All right, let's do this. So here it is. Here is my already scored, and if I had had to cut piece of paper, I use this from a double-sided pad, and I'll link that below. I think it's Echo Park. I can't remember what the 6x8 ones were, but I'll find it and put it in the description box below. So what I do is I start out with a piece of paper like this, and I think about which part do I want to make into pockets and which part do I want on the outside. So with this one, I ended up doing the pockets on this side of the page. I have done other ones with the pockets on this side of the page. So you take this and you set it on your scoreboard and you put the back side on with the side that you want for the pockets here. And you score that at 2 inches. And that's on the 6-inch side. And then on the 8-inch side, you do this score and you come in 2 1/8 on each side. And the reason that you do that is so that when you close these eventually, if you do them at 2, they meet up in the middle. If you do them at 2 1/8, they overlap, and that's what you want in this project. All right, so first thing I do once it's scored, obviously, is to fold those. I do use my bone folder on that, and then I fold up this pocket. Probably the most critical part of what you need to know about these is that when I cut them, when I cut the pockets apart down here, I cut on either side of the score line. So I end up taking out a piece that is a little less than 1/8 of an inch large. And I'll show you why once we get these all cut. So I just try to get closest to the score line, but it does not have to go all the way in. And you're going to want that room. So just make those cuts right up to that second score line there, where that is. And then I will flip these over generally. And that makes a nice clean cut right there. And on this one, we'll make it right here. All right, so those are gone. Okay, now I have my folio, and then I'm just going to put in the things that I like. Now, before I do that, I test and make sure you can do this, because you can always take off more before you start this process. But that is why you take off both sides and have a little gap there, is so that you can fold them without those getting in the way. All right, first thing I do, generally, you can, with this one, you can cut a triangle, as you saw that I did in some of my earlier prototypes. And now I'm having a hard time finding my corner rounder because I moved everything out of the picture line. And so I will do it with this kind. And so basically you just need to clip off a triangle here, and it does not matter what size it is. And so you can do it this way. This can be a pocket if you would prefer. I've just been keeping them as tucks instead of pockets, mostly just for having more than one option in there. Okay, so just one bead of glue there, and you are all set. Now, I would say that, of course, I've forgotten to do what I always forget to do, which is I recommend inking this before you put on the glue, because then you can get the ink down the side. And I will bring in I'm using walnut stain. I went to go buy Vintage Photo, and they didn't have it at my local store, and so I just didn't get it. Oops, I'm not going to do that yet. All right. Usually I do not start the gluing until all the sides are ready. All right. I'll do that a little there. All right. I don't start the inking until I can do them all. Okay, I have this that I use for these deep cuts. So I can get like a long one in there. And this is just an oval punch that I use for that. And then on this side, I use one of these. This is a 1 3/4, but you can literally use any circle punch that you have to make that little thumb notch. All right, now I've got all of those, and so I go back and ink them. I like to ink all the sides and the lip. And then I will ink the rest of it once I am fully done with the deal. All right, so I'm going to do this one, and then I'm going to show you what next I do, because before gluing the other one, it is easier to do the punch. All right, hold that down for a minute. To do the hole punch for the brad. And so now I have to find my brads. It's kind of that day. All right, here are my brads. So I'm going to take, these are small brads. You can use a larger brad, just know what size you need for your hole punch. So on this one, I'm going to use this Wonder that I already made. Let's see if I can get that to come in here. I'm going to adjust my light just a tiny bit. See if you can get that a little bit. Oh yeah, that's much better, less glare. Okay, so I have this Wonder, and I am just going to put in 2 holes for this. And for the small ones, I think I'm going to continue not to use the larger brads at the other end. And so I will just put one, I try to make it roughly in the middle. One there. And one here. Great. Okay. So then I close this up and I put it down and I think about, I'm moving around till I get it where I want it. Then I take a pencil and I put it right here. I color in this area right here, and that's where I want my hole punch. And that gives me a great target. Now, I'm going to use my crocodile, my big bite, to do this because it's easier for me to do it that way. You do not need to use something like this. If you can see the pencil, I can see the pencil. The pencil is right here, like right there. And I'm going to line that up with my big bite and punch a hole. Of course, it really does not matter what you use to make that hole. And one other thing I thought of that you could use to make that hole is an awl. So you just punch that little hole in there. And then I get out my brad and I'm going to put it through. Well, first I'm going to put it on this side. It's easier to do it while it's off. So I'm going to push these down. All right. Okay. So I've got it on that side because that side is not going to go through the folio. It's going to stay out. And on the other side, I'm going to use Velcro. Okay, and then I load this into here and put it through here, the hole I just made. I press that down and I do all of that. All right. Okay, so you can see the brad comes through. Now you can see that when I make this, it's not going to cover that up. And that is why I do these little sunsets. That's what I like to call them. But also you can do other things that might be more interesting to you. I just use these as a cover up. I think that pink is a little bright. Try to find a different color. Actually, I think I'll go with a book page. So in order to make all these little circles, I took my book pages and I used all of the different sizes of corner punches, of hole punches that I have, rounds, and I made a lot of them. All right, perfect. So you can see that's going to go right there. I'm going to ink that. Really fast. All right. And then I'm going to glue it down. You don't need a ton of glue. Okay. And this is why it's easier to do before you glue down the pocket, because you know where your target is. There we go. And then you can press on all sides of that. Now, if you end up doing the pocket first, which I did with all of my early ones, no big deal. You can just slip that right in the pocket with a little bit of glue on the back of it, and it's not going to cause any harm. All right. And then I just glue up the sides. There we go. Okay, now the whole thing is done, and I've inked my pockets, but I haven't inked the edges yet. So I'm going to ink the edges. I'm inking all the edges. And I'm going to ink the folds as well. There we go. Okay, so that's all done. Now, I am generally a fan of rounded corners, but if you can't round them, it looks fine either way. Okay, now the last thing I have to do is to create my closure here, and I'm going to use square Velcro for these because this square Velcro, and I used round on the first couple, but the square Velcro, which I just cut in half. Let's try that again. I'm going to use square Velcro for these because I used the round on the first couple, but the square Velcro is much flatter. All right, now for the square Velcro that I own, there are two sides to this. One is the white, the soft part, and then the other is the teeth. The teeth on this is clear, and so I want that to go on my actual page here. And so I'm going to put the white part up here against the back of the closure. Okay. And then I'm going to peel this off part. Okay, and then I'm going to very carefully place this where I want it to go. There it is. Just give it a minute to adhere. And that's it. The whole thing is finished. Now you can do whatever you want to decorate and create your own spaces inside of here. I have a huge bag here of little stuffs that I can use to put into it. So I'm going to go with this one. Now, this right here, this pocket should be big enough for a gift card. And this is the smaller size, remember? So that's about the size of a gift card, and you can just slip that right in there. These would make fun birthday gifts. So you can just go in and pull that one out. Now, I'm going to see if I have a smaller thing I can put. Well, I'll just show you that, like, you can then put like a small thing here, and maybe a tag, a little mini tag over here. Whatever you want sticking out of those things, that is half the fun. All right, for the larger ones, these ones, I'm going to tell you the measurements for. Did you see on this one, I did round the corners at the bottom and the top. And I do think it makes it pretty. So the way that you do these is that you cut a 9 by 12 piece. And then on the 9-inch side here, you're going to want to score at 3. These pockets, I tried them at 2 and 2.5, and they're just not tall enough. And then here, you're going to go on the ends like 3 1/8 here and 3 1/8 here. And that way you have almost 6 left here. And you have 6 on this side. It's not going to be quite 6, so it's going to still look like it's a little bit wider than it is long. But it will also handle that. All right, now I'm going to make another video about how I make these, and I'll explain my whole process, but I think these are also super fun to make for any other kinds of closures. All right, thanks for coming to watch. I hope you liked it. If you did, please press like and subscribe. And if you want to get notified when I'm making a new one, hit that notification bell. Thanks, and happy crafting.